Hey Math All-Stars, it's Dr. Conklin here to wrap up our rigid motions unit. We are on page 17 in our packet, and since this is sort of a review day, I'm going to do a few problems with you and then ask you in our ed puzzle to complete the others. So if we look at this question, it says, what type of translation is illustrated by the accompanying diagram? So one strategy we've talked about in class is to sort of pick a point and follow it. So if I pick this corner point here, 4, 1, and I pick -1, 4. This is the pre-image and the image. We could get out our patty paper. When I look at this, I notice, guys, that it is not just moving. I can see the shape is actually turning. So I'm just going to use my patty paper to see if we can figure out what's going on here. So if I look at this and I move it around, I can see that I'm rotating this 90 degrees about the origin. So this is a rotation about the origin, 90 degrees. Now, we went to the, if you look here, we went to the left, right? Which means it's going to be a positive. If you ever aren't sure, it's okay to write counterclockwise, okay? But this is full credit. So this is an easy multiple choice. It's a rotation, but I did just want to remind you guys, you need to have here O for the origin. You need to have your angle and also our direction. If, wink wink, we maybe ask you in a quiz or test to be specific, okay? Let's look at number 2. So this is off the grid. It says in the diagram below, AC is congruent to DF. A, C, D, and F are collinear, meaning are on the same line L. Now, ABC is congruent to DEF. Describe the sequence of rigid motions that maps ABC to DEF. So here's the thing that's sort of the hint, is I'm going to, again, pick a point. Here's A, here's D. How does A move to D? And we also want to line up those purple lines. So a few things we could sort of think about. Also, if it would help, sometimes it's helpful to see more than one point. So let me just color code here. B goes with E, and C goes with F, just so you can see it a little more clearly where they should match up. In order to move these, there's two things that we can do. So it looks like, again, they gave us that hint that this should be a rigid motion, which means we're going to have to move this. So if I look, I want A and D to match up, so I'm going to slide those down. What do we call a slide, guys? That is a translation. So a translation now, when you're off the grid, we don't have any points to move. How are we moving? We're moving A to D. So our vector that we're going to write, again, I'm going crazy with the colors here. You know I love colors, guys. Our vector, oh, sorry, I thought that was going to straighten out for me. Actually, let me use the highlighter. If I go from A to D, that's my vector. So our vector is A to D. Okay? And again, I'm starting with this triangle here. This is our pre-image, this is our image. Now, once I have this triangle moved here, what am I doing?
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good.
So what am I doing here, guys, to get these to now become one on top of the other? I'm going to take and I'm going to reflect a little r over df. Okay, sorry, it's a little hard to see the F. Let me get rid of some. Ooh, I got rid of too much. Okay, so if I look here, I'm reflecting, and the line I'm reflecting over is GF. Okay, when I do that, all our points should match up. Yep, B is now going to match up with E. So are those two different rigid motions? Perfect. Okay, now on the next page, we have 2 congruence questions. I'm going to ask you to try one right now and check your work. Okay, so for number 1, I got a translation followed by a reflection. So this moved and then it flipped. So that's pretty easy. Now for number 2, let's look at this one. If I look at this one, the first thing, now there's 2 ways to do this. Remember, guys? A reflection over the x-axis or over the y-axis. So if I reflect over the y-axis, right? That would bring, here's my pre-image point. I'm reflecting. Let me put little primes on this, guys. A becomes A prime. And now how do I get A prime? You could even put like double prime in here if you guys want. I need to move this 1, 2, 3 down. Now notice what I'm doing here, guys. I'm saying a reflection over the y-axis. So I'm not just saying reflection. I'm specifically saying what I'm reflecting over. And then I'm also saying 0, -3. Because I'm keeping the x value, I'm just moving down 3 for our y value. Okay? There's also other correct ways to do this, guys. You could also first translate, and then you could reflect again. So it doesn't just have to be in this order. Okay, 2 more to go. All right, so I want you guys to try 1 on your own right now, and then we'll check our answers. And 2 is a little tricky, but we'll sort of go over and see if you guys can get 2. Let me see if I can. I thought I erased. Okay, so let's look at number 1. Okay, so here's what I got for number 1. I started with our pre-image right here, and I reflected it over the x-axis. So again, I'm using that fancy notation. I have A prime, B prime, C prime, and then I saw that B prime became E by moving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to the right, but nothing up and down. Okay? All right, now for number 2, this is a really popular one in the Regents. They love putting these on. How is AED, okay, how is that congruent to CEB? Oh, Kesha, I'm sorry, I don't find you. I don't know if you guys can hear the music today. Jessie J. Okay, now here's where you guys need to be careful. If I look here, A matches up with C. So here's A, here's C, but go a little farther. AE is right here. Here's CE, guys. So what I worry about is a lot of people might just say this is a reflection. If I reflect, though, AE would actually end up over here. Does everyone see that? So this is not a reflection. So if I look here and oops, hold on. I know Mr. Fields when it comes to these snazzy moves. So if I look here and I rotate this, does everyone see if I rotate not just 1 turn but 2, right? Then that's going to end up, let me try one more time. And I'll put some pretend patty paper on here so you guys can see a little bit better. Right, this is a little bit harder, right? So if I take this whole thing and I move it, that's 1 turn, right? Now I'm going 1 more. That's going to be 180. Ooh, a little more. Okay, so now here's what's a little bit tricky. I'm going to take and rotate about point E 180 degrees. So this is where we don't always have the same answer that we do. Make sure that this point here is not the origin like we do in coordinate planes, but that it's moving. Okay, have a great day, guys. The bell rang, so I gotta go teach some math. But I'll see you soon. Keep up the good work, All-Stars. Bye.